It is Thursday morning at a little after 9 and I'm at Yacht Haven, but I'm going to start preparing the boat to head out and sail south. I'm going to try to make it to Racha and meet up with some of my friends down there for some diving. Before we take off sailing, we have to prepare the boat for being out on the water, which means securing any sort of loose items and bringing up the dinghy. It is a beautiful day for a sail. The forecast predicts winds that are going to be between 15 and 20 knots and swell that's going to be anywhere between 1 and 2 meters. This morning I'm going to try to make it as far south as an island called Mai Thon. I suppose if the wind's really good and the conditions are okay for it, I may try to make a run for Racha. But if I get down to Mai Thon, I may decide not to go to Racha if the conditions are too rough. We're just going to have to go out for a sail and see how it all turns out. Alright, so we've made it out of the marina and off the anchor and are now sailing out the channel, which leads into Phang Nga Bay. The wind is blowing somewhere between 10 and 15 knots. We're doing about 5 or 6 knots going out with the tide. And so it's a very nice morning for sailing. I just hope that these conditions hold as I make my way down south to the bottom of Phuket. Is one of those things that we love to do when we're out on the water, not just for sport, but also because it can bring food on board. I've got a couple of deep sea fishing lures, rods, reels, and other equipment, and I've just put out one of those lures off the back of the boat to see if we might catch anything today. Sailing south, my initial plan was to try to get to Koh Mai Thon, but ultimately I want to get to an island called Racha. And right now I'm debating whether or not I should try to reach Racha today, given that the conditions are pretty good and the conditions tomorrow are supposed to be a bit more wind and probably rougher conditions. So yeah, at this point Mai Thon is maybe 2 hours away and Racha's 5, so pretty soon here I've got to make a decision which way I'm going to go. Alright, so after a day of some pretty interesting sailing, it's almost 4 p.m. now, and I've made it to Mai Thon. I had to abandon the idea of trying to get down to Racha, because as soon as I got around the bottom of Phuket, the swells came up to 3 meters and more with 20 and 25 knot winds. So there was just no way, one, that I could point to the island, and two, that I could really stand multiple hours of those kind of conditions. As for today's attempt to catch some fish, partway through that sail, the rod and reel did go off, but I only managed to pull up a nice plastic bag. I don't think I'll be having this for dinner tonight. Well, I ended up moving because where I was originally anchored, the swell was just massive. It was coming in, it looked like surf swell at one point right behind me, so clearly not the place to be. I noticed that a couple of local boats were sitting down at this end of Mai Thon, so I've picked up a mooring buoy down here, and this is where I'm going to spend the night. Alright, that was a massive sail today, big adventure. And now that I'm safe, I'm going to sit down and take a rest and try to work on the video for you guys.